Hey guys, howdy howdy. This is me. It's been a long time, about a year since I've made a video. I've had some medical problems, and now they're resolved. But anyway, so I'm going to try and get back with it a little bit. Anyway, I've got a story, and it's not an out-of-body story, but it's a story that's dear to my heart. Kind of a bittersweet story. It's about a really good friend of mine. And anyway, I'd like to tell you about it if you're interested. I had a couple Swedish exchange students, and a boy and a girl at different times. And I had a boy who was named Victor, and it was great. It was a fantastic time. I recommend doing that if you can do it. Have a Swedish exchange student or somewhere like that. But anyway, he was with us for about a year, and during that year, his dad and mom had a trip to the U.S., so they visited us. And so he was. I got really close to his dad. Dad's name was Leif, and we had a great time. He was a great guy. Well, still is. And so one night I was sitting. I couldn't sleep, and I was up watching TV, and I could see their guest room, that they were sleeping in, and all of a sudden, he knocks on the door, on his bedroom door, and opens it up a crack and holds out a six-pack of Blue Moon beer. So I said, "Hey, come on out," and he spoke, pretty good English, but not the greatest. I had to make sure that I didn't do any slang words or anything like that. But and there was a lot of times we were just talking, we were gabbing around, and I would miss a couple words that he said, and he would stop me and say, "Well, what's the word for, whatever?" But we had a great time. But we had a great time that night, and he told me something that was quite interesting. And he said he had never told anybody this story, not of his other kids or nothing. I don't even know for sure that he even told his wife. You'll see what I'm talking about later. But anyway, it was about one night in Sweden. They were in bed and sleeping, and he was awake. And I guess it must have had maybe a full moon or something with his bedroom. He could see, a little bit in his bedroom. And all of a sudden, there was a little girl standing at the edge of his bed, the foot of his bed. And he said she was about 7, 8, 9 years old, something like that. And she was just staring at him, not in a smiley mood or negative mood, just staring at him. And he said he was in such shock he didn't freak out or anything. She was a full apparition. In other words, she's full-bodied. It was like a transparent person or anything like that. And so he looked at her for and she was there for, I guess, I'm not sure, maybe about a minute or two. I mean, she didn't expect it. For a second she was there and she was gone. She was there and she was staring right at him. And anyway, so then she eventually just faded away. And like I said, I don't know if he told his wife or not about that. I can't remember, but he said he never told anybody. I was like the first or second person he had ever talked about this. And so anyway, a little bit later on, I think a few months later, they had his wife got pregnant, and they had a little baby girl, and the baby girl was healthy and fine, everything was working out, and so over time she became about 7 or 8 years old, and she came down with leukemia, and she died. And it's horrible. I guess his wife, understandably, is completely devastated, and they were completely distraught over the whole thing. And like I said, I couldn't. I had 4 children myself, and I just couldn't even imagine the grief that they were under. But she died at 8 years old, and so he told me that was the girl, exact identical. That was the girl that he saw at the foot of his bed. So I don't know. It's not an out-of-body thing, but I don't know how anybody would put it together, why she was there, or or anything like that. But I thought it was an interesting story, bittersweet, but I think it was great. I mean, that he told me, and I respect him for it very much. But anyway, I appreciate everything, and I'm going to start getting a couple more videos out to you. Thanks a lot. Bye.